I'm sorry, I was in another meeting, so then.
Oh, you're right. This is all Krishna's plan, and
Yes. Who are we to stop anything in life?
exactly.
Thank you.
Who are we to start or stop anything?
Yeah, true.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. What's pronounced over Srila Prabhupada?
Jai Prabhupada. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dharma Pranam. Jai. Okay, Prabhuji, should we?
Yes, Prabhu. First of all, on behalf of our Bensalam Bhakti Roksha, I would like to thank you. We are very glad that you honored our request for continuing this third chapter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Hari Bol.
Thanks.
Yeah, please continue, Prabhu.
No, Prabhuji, you don't have to thank me. It is actually, I want to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity to continue to get your wonderful association. And it is just so nice to be in your association once again. And we look forward to continuing this. It's Mukta Sangha Prabhu and I were just talking the other day on the phone. And so I said, thanks is not from him or from you all to me, it's more from me to you all. Devotee association is the most wonderful possession that we have. And so to continue to get each other's association is very, very valuable. So thank you all very much for having me back.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So actually, even though we are starting a new chapter today, I don't know if there's any recap opportunity or anything that we want to do today, or what should we do? What's your thought?
I mean, in a gist, the whole second chapter within 5 minutes, if you can please go over right from the beginning to end.
Okay.
Just 5 minutes in a gist, what the second chapter deals with. And then that will be a continuation for our third chapter, how it actually started from second to third, how the connection is set up. If you can do that, that will be
certainly. Yeah, certainly. So before I kind of start, and I will certainly do what you just said, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, but just wanted to ask if any of the devotees want to share any of their high-level recollections from chapter 2, and then I can try to tie it all together, and then we move forward. As to how 2 flows into 3, I'll definitely certainly come to that. But if anybody wants to say anything from what they remembered, that'll be good. In the meantime, then Mukta Sangha Prabhu, what I'll do is I'll just show the summary that we had of chapter 2 at that time, and then go from there.
Yeah, sure, bro. So just to put some highlights. Okay, so second chapter starts with basically Arjuna is not about to fight. He gives up fighting. So that is when the second chapter starts. That is when Krishna starts telling Arjuna, okay, Asoccha nanvasocastvam prajnavadam sabhashase gatasu nagatasam nanusochanti panditaha. So why Arjuna, why being a pandita, you're not, this is not befitting a pandita talking like this, so then that is when Krishna starts second chapter, and he gives the difference between the soul and the body. So basically the difference between the soul and the body, and then the qualities of the soul, and how we pass through different stages, right? Dehinosmi neta dehe kaumara mayavanam jara tata dehantara prapti. So he goes and tells how we transmigrate from one body to the other. Similarly, after the death, the soul transmigrates to another body. So another body based on our thoughts at the time of death. So then Arjuna questions also how a spiritualist, talk, walk, stand, do his activities. So then Krishna gives all different answers for all of those questions. So that is where we are actually, at the end. So he distinguishes between different qualities of a devotee, how he talks, walks, and acts. That is the end of the second chapter, according to my little knowledge.
No, that's very nice, Prabhuji. That kind of summarized it very well. Anybody else want to add anything that they remember which was different or?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I would like to put some lights on that.
Yes, Prabhu.
My understanding, in the first chapter, Arjuna was like lamenting, as Mukta Sankarsa already said. So the very important thing, like Arjuna, in the first chapter, got is like he accepted Krishna as the Guru. That relationship got changed. So from there, once the relationship got changed, in the second chapter, since in the first chapter, Krishna become Guru of Arjuna. So in second chapter, Krishna started instructing, giving the Buddhi yoga things. So those Buddhi yoga things, now from the second chapter, like when we see that in the second chapter, verse number 49, something like Durena hiya karmani buddhi yoga dhananjaya. So now he has started giving the buddhi yoga. So then when Krishna started giving buddhi yogas, then Arjuna got confused. Oh, you are talking about buddhi. So I mean, so I should apply my intelligence, and so as per the buddhi and jnana, intelligence. So I should not fight. Then that meaning I can go and take the sannyas and go to the jungle and become sannyas. So why should I do the ghastly warfare and kind of what he has mentioned? So now Krishna is saying, no, that Buddhi yoga is not that Buddhi yoga. So now I will have to teach you the karma yoga. So now we are going to, start with that. That is the third chapter, where Arjuna will be saying what is the real Buddhi yoga. So that is the karma yoga. You have to do the karma. So that we'll be doing here in the third chapter, and you'll be enlightening us with the details for versus perspective one by one. So that's my understanding, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. That was actually very, very nice, because that verse 249 is actually the kind of the main connection between chapter 2 and 3. And because, as you very rightly said, that's where Arjun says Durena, or Krishna says Durena hi avanam karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. And that confuses Arjun. So that's a very important key verse there. And of course, in chapter 2, Krishna explains to Arjun the contents of the Gita in a summary. He talks to him about Gyan also, and a little bit about karma also, and then finally about Buddhi Yoga. And but now all those things will be discussed in more detail in the subsequent chapters. So thank you very much for that, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
It's very nice. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisance. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, I joined late, but I remember few points which I really I want to include in my life, in my action, not only in like on writing on the notebook or like that, but I want to apply on my life and my in my daily practice, like a steady mind and the intelligence, using intelligence. It can help to achieve the eternal happiness, and in the Krishna conscious only. So steady mind and intelligence is very important for our bhakti. And second one is the peaceful mind of a devotees is like a ocean, and it never cross the boundaries. So that point was very touching for me. And one more point, like praying sincerely to Lord Krishna is the strength to fight with the material desires, and it helps in progress in the spiritual journey. So praying sincerely is very important. It's not like we have to do 16 rounds every day, so we'll just do it. It's not about just do it. We have to taste it and do it. It's not like just it's a duty and we have to do it as 16 hours that's while watching TV or while talking or while walking. It's not like that. So that should be sincerely. And if you are reading anything, so that should be also sincerely. That means sincerely means what I got here. Sincerely means we have to apply in our life. It's not like we should remember it and preach to others. Like you do it, I'm not doing it. It should not be like that. It should be like if it is written in the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, something, any scriptures, so that is should be applied in our life. So that is that will in that way we can progress in our spiritual life. So thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for that. These are some, actually, these are really wonderful realizations that you have. And I think they're very inspiring for all of us to hear that, you know, what you said about wanting to practically implement Krishna consciousness and the lessons that we've gone over in our life. I mean, that is a fantastic realization, because at the end of the day, that's what Krishna wants us to do. He's given us the message in the Bhagavad Gita, not just to read and set it aside, but to actually implement it in our lives. And like you said, it's one thing to repeat the message to somebody else and say, you do it, I won't do it. That's a great realization. And uh, uh, I well, my hope and prayer is that we all keep that kind of realization in our hearts and pray sincerely to Krishna to give us the spiritual strength, like we had discussed the other day, that Gaur Nitai or Lord Balram and Krishna gives us the knowledge, but Balramji gives us the strength with which to carry that sword of knowledge, with which we can fight the forces of Maya, the anarthas, the six enemies of spiritual life, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Mada, and Matsarya. So, sincere prayers, you made a very good point. We can chant 16 rounds, we can do it mechanically, but I think uh, obviously the more you chant, the more sincere the chanting becomes. And when the chanting becomes more and more sincere, then more and more realizations keep coming. And as those realizations keep coming, our prayers become more and more sincere, more heartfelt. And one of the very encouraging points that you made is that if we try to implement it in our life, I mean, that is actually a sign of very real desire to make progress. Thank you so much, Mataji. It's very
Hare
wonderful.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
What I wanted to convey was controlling our senses, being, following Bhakti Yoga and getting more and more attached to Krishna, and all our lower desires and all the things drop off, and the Vairagya develops in you. You can see in your life certain things when you are getting too close to Krishna, or just, loving Krishna in a simplistic way. I see a lot of, the simple desires, even something we don't want to have those things, but it is, important that we take care of certain things in our household. It's just being taken care of. I was really amazed at certain things that was happening in the household, even though I did not think it was going to happen. It was just automatically happening. So Krishna knows what you want. Actually, he knows everything about you. The more you are sincere to your devotion, And whatever Guru says, follow the Guru's principle, all the nine process of devotional service, whatever you can do. If you follow that, I think Krishna knows your inner most desires, and even the simplest thing, he fulfills it. You don't have to worry about anything at all. That I have been seeing it really lately. I was amazed at certain things what was happening in my household. So I just wanted to share that. And Bhakti Yoga is the most important, most relevant for us. And I like the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu combined all the Vaishnava traditions and put it to us in a simplistic way. Chant this Mahamantra sincerely, and then you don't worry about anything. Things automatically happen. As long as we don't have lower desires, mundane desires, and if it is a higher goal, I'm sure Krishna will take care of it. That's the way I believe in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. It's so nice to hear. Thank you for sharing your experience and realization that you've been seeing this happening in your life, and that actually helps all of us to strengthen our faith too. Because when you hear firsthand from someone that they see Krishna's presence in their life, that is even more proof for all of us that Krishna is there and he's looking after his devotees. Antya prati jani name bhakta pranashiti, Krishna says that. So, and you're absolutely right what you said about Mahaprabhu giving us this process of chanting the holy name. I mean, like Mahaprabhu says, Chetu Dharman Marjanam. So this, as we keep chanting, it keeps cleansing our heart of all the lower desires that we have, and it gradually brings us closer and closer and closer to Krishna, so that eventually one day, it's our hope, one day that we will develop Krishna Prem. But like you shared, you can see it happening in day-to-day life. So that's very wonderful, Mataji. Thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
So, in the second chapter, we were looking into mood of Arjuna. He was he didn't want to fight against his cousins, and he was describing all his teachers are present. So then Krishna starts to instruct him from there, and then he accepts in 2.7, Krishna, I'm your disciple. So then Krishna explains about, Lord explains about the difference between body and soul. He's imparting the perfect knowledge, actually. So it was about who we are, how we are created, and what is our purpose as a human being. All these were described, and later Lord had described about the senses, how you can become a devotee, what are the qualities of devotees, and what is your final destination, what you should do, what is your purpose. Whatever you do, it should be satisfying to me. You should perform your duty to satisfy me, and how to get detached from this material world. And I think even later, all the controlling the senses, all that was also described. And lust, anger, greed, envy, anxiety, all those, how to, and it is originally the love which we had for Krishna, which was transformed into lust, actually. So from lust, everything arises, the other anarthas, anger, anxiety, I need this, I need that. So that's what has transformed to material attachment. So we should try to transform that lust to love towards Krishna. And that way, if we are steady in our devotional service, Krishna would definitely, he would help us to progress. And that we should try to impart every day, offering prasadam and chanting and following the 4 regulative principles. This all helps us to control our senses. So that's what I wanted to add in here, just the summarization. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji. This all very important points, and I mean the whole idea of chapter 2, where Krishna tries to give Arjuna an overall summary of what is the eventual purpose of life, to come out of this material cycle of birth and death and come back home, back to Godhead. That is now going to be discussed in more detail in terms of how exactly to get there. So really very nice points, Madhuri. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mati.
I want to like share one more point. It's not. I heard from somewhere, and it really liked me. So that's why I want to share with you all. Like Krishna has result for everyone. Like Krishna wants all the everyone in in this world to with him in Golak Vrindavana. So he has a result for everyone, but we are not putting our endeavor and surrendering to Krishna. That's why we are little late to get the result what Krishna has for each and everyone here. So we need to put our endeavor and surrender and with submissively, so to get the result, and Krishna will be happy. And actually Krishna wants everyone with him only. So this I wanted to share with everyone. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Mataji, for sharing that. That's a very, very key point about what Krishna wants and why yada yada dharmasya glani bhavati bharata, why he appears every millennium, just to give us the path to come out of this material creation and come back home, back to God. And that's what Prabhupada has described it as: come back home and back to God. And Prabhupada has in many places given this example that we are all Krishna's children, and Krishna wants us all to come back home. Right now we are loitering around, lost. And so every now and then, well, at every point in time, Krishna's representatives are there to help us find our way back home, back to God. And it's like you see those lost and found posters where parents who have lost their children put up a poster and they say, I'll give you this reward if anybody can find my lost child. And that's exactly how Krishna feels about us, that we have strayed away from home and he wants us to come back. And that's why he says there's nobody in Bhagavad Gita, he says there's no one more dear to me than one who transmits my glories, preaches my glories, preaches my name. That's why this path is so pleasing to Krishna, because this is the path by which conditioned souls like us who have lost their way can find our way back home, back to Krishna, back to God. Thank you very much for sharing that, Madhuri. Anybody else? All right, then we'll move forward. And so Muktadan Prabhu, I mean, the connection between chapter 2 and 3, maybe we'll just do the invocation prayers and then we can just get into that discussion.
Sure, Prabhu.
Because there was such nice points raised by everybody that we are now almost at 8:30. So I think we'll move forward. Okay, the verse reading, then we can, with the kids and others like to read verses. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Text 1. Tyagu Prabhu, can you start?
Haji, I'm driving, G.
Oh, okay, okay, no problem.
Okay, then.
Then Kanchan Mataji.
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna
Dhyayasi Chat Karmanaste
Karmanaste
Mata Buddhir Janardhana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam
Tatkim
Karmani Goram
Niyojayasi Keshavaha.
Niyojayasi Kesava.
Arjuna said, "O Janardhana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than fruited work?" Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. And
Prabhuji,
Pravanti Mataji, kids.
Prabhuji, can Mukund say?
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Vyamishre vakyena
Vyamishrekeva
Vakyena
buddhimoha sivame
Buddhir Mohaya Sivame
tadekam vadanaschitya
Tadekam Vadanishitya
yena shreyohamapnayam.
Yena Shreyohamapnuyam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Translation.
My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. So,
Prabhuji, can I say Suhurut?
yes, Suraj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Sri Bhagavan
Vacha
Lokesmin Dvividanishta
Lokesmin
Lokesmin
Devidanishta
Prokta Maya Nagaha
Pura
Maya
Yana Yogena Sankyanam
Jnana Yogena
Yogena Shankyanam
Sankhyanam
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Karma Yogena
Yoginam
Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O sinless Arjun, I have already explained all. They are two classes of men who are trying to realize the self. Some who try to realize the self, some who are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophy, speculation, and others by devotional service." Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very well.
So we want to go fourth, Prabhu.
Yeah, one more verse somebody can read.
Okay. Saujanya Mataji is joined. Is Prajna Mataji available?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prajna here. Fourth one.
Next for chapter 3.
Nakarmanam
Karmanam anarambam
Nashkaryam Purushosnute
Purushotte
Nacha Sanyasana Deva
Sanadeva
Siddhim Samadhi Gachati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Maybe verse 1 again, somebody else want to read? Any more kids?
No more kids. Vatsala Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Uvacha
Jayayasi Chet Karmanaste
Jayasi chet karmanaste
Mata buddhir janardana
mata buddhi
tat kim karmani gore mam
tat kim
niyojayasi keshava. Thank you. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, "O Janardana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work." Hare Krishna.
Narasimhan Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes. Vyamishrenev vakyena
Yamishreneva vakyena
buddhim mohayasya siva me
buddhim mohayaseva me
tad ek pada nischitya
tadekam vadanistya
yena shreyoham apnuyam. Translation. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Anybody else, Muktasang Prabhu?
Yeah. Third, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha
Sri Bhagavan Vacha
Vacha
Lokesmin Dividhanishta
Lokesmin Vidanishta
Pura Prokta Maya Naga
Pura Prokta Mayanaga
Jnana Yogena Sankyanam
Jnana Yogena
Sankhyanam
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service.
Hare Krishna. I will go for text number 4.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Na karmanam anarambhan
anarambhat
niskarmyam puruso asnute
naikarmyam purusha
nacha sanyasana deva
nacha sanyasana deva
siddhim samadhi gacchati.
siddhim samadhi gacchati.
And the translation by His Divine Grace Savai Charna Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else, Muktasang Prabhu? Okay, then we'll start. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Tam Rupa-kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sanjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the first verse of chapter 3, Arjuna Vacha, Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhi Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Gore Mam Niyojayasi Keshava. And then the second verse, because both these verses are his questions to Krishna. His second verse, he says, Vyamishrineva Vakena Buddhi Mohayas Eva me Tad Ekam Vada Nishchitya Yena Shriyo Aham An Apnuyam. So, chapter 2, in chapter 2, Krishna explained in summary the entire philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And as Ramshan Prabhu mentioned, there was this verse 249 in which Arjuna was actually, Krishna told Arjuna, I'll just go back to 249, where the verse was, Durena hi avaratam kim buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvicha kripana phalahetava. So the translation was, O Dhananjay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. And in that consciousness, surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So Arjun took that instruction, and that's the right thing for him to do. But he sort of misunderstood what Krishna was saying. And the implication there is that all of us living entities, we are subject to misunderstanding what Krishna wants us to do. And therefore, Krishna has very nicely explained in detail how we should act and how we should not act. So when Dhananjay, so in 49, when Krishna says, O Dhananjay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service. In other words, Krishna told Arjun, perform devotional service and keep all abominable activities distant, meaning don't do anything abominable, just perform devotional service. And so Arjun understood that to mean, okay, I should perform devotional service and not fight on the battlefield and kill people, because this killing of people is an abominable activity. Very fair, given the circumstances. That's kind of a fair assumption for Arjun to have made. And so now Krishna, this is the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is now going to explain why certain things that ordinary people might think are good, or ordinary people might think are bad. Our own opinion of what is good and bad doesn't matter. What is Krishna's opinion of what is good and what is bad? That is what is required. Krishna's opinion must be followed, must be firstly understood and then followed. In our opinion, we might think something is very bad. But if Krishna says it's not bad, then it is better to listen to God and do what God says. And we might think something is very good, but if Krishna says, no, this is not that good, then we need to listen to him. So that is the whole point of this confusion in Arjun's mind. There's a demonstration of how we are confused. We don't necessarily know at all times the difference between good and bad. We might think this is good, and we might think that is bad. But Krishna is indicating, in order to know the right answer, turn to the Shastra, take instruction from Shastra. And so chapter 3 starts with this question, with these two verses in which Arjun questions Krishna and asks to asks Krishna to clarify his doubt. And what is the doubt? The doubt is that, Krishna, you are asking me to perform buddhi yoga or devotional service, use my buddhi, use my intelligence, and not do anything abominable, not do anything bad. And so I don't think I should fight because that's a bad activity. But you are telling me to fight, so this is my doubt. So please clear my doubt. So this is the starting of chapter 3 and the connection between 2 and 3. So now, actually, in chapter 2, in chapter 2, Krishna uses the word buddhi many times. And actually, one of, if we scrutinizingly look at all of the verses in chapter 2, there are almost 30 verses out of a total of 72. There are about 30 verses where this concept of buddhi yoga has been touched upon. So almost in half of chapter 2, the concept of buddhi yoga has been referenced. And the actual word buddhi yoga has been used about 10 times by Krishna. So naturally, it's a very important concept. Buddhi yoga and devotional service, that's the entire message of the Bhagavad Gita. In a nutshell, the message of Bhagavad Gita is please perform devotional service. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Krishna says that. So Arjun is thinking that buddhi yoga means don't fight. So the key is Krishna wants us to perform devotional service, but how to perform devotional service? What is the meaning of devotional service? That is what is being explained here starting in chapter 3. So Arjun's questions are fair, they're very good questions. Says, "O Janardhan, O Keshav, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare?" Ghastly warfare. Says, "Gore Mam, if you think intelligence is better than fruitive work." Intelligence meaning buddhi. So he says, Krishna, you're saying buddhi yoga is the way to act. So you want me to use my intelligence. And then you're telling me to perform this ghastly act of warfare. And he says, Arjun questions Krishna and he says, and Krishna, you have said buddhi yoga is better than karma yoga. Remember in chapter 2, Krishna also touched upon Gyan Yoga. Well, first Karma Yoga. Verses 1 to 10 were more doubts. And then 10 through, I have to check my notes here, but verses 10 through, well, anyway, whatever it was. So those were on Gyan Yoga. Yeah, 11 to 30. So 20 verses were on Gyan. And then 31 to 38 were on Karma. And then 39 to 53 on Buddhi Yoga. And then finally 54 to 72 on how to attain the state of samadhi, equipoised, mind perfectly controlled, steady intelligence, and spiritual intelligence and steady mind, which alone lead to peace, peaceful mind. And that is what leads to happiness. If you remember that whole temple diagram that we had done, the two pillars supporting happiness and peace of mind are basically steady intelligence and transcendental intelligence and steady mind. So that was the samadhi description. And so all of that can be achieved by buddhi yoga, devotional service. And so Arjuna is very confused. He's saying, on one hand, you want me to perform buddhi yoga. On the other hand, you want me to perform warfare. This is contradictory. What should I do? Now, in the second verse, then Arjuna says, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Equivocal means they sound like you're saying two opposite things at the same time. So it's not clear to me, he says. And there are two words here which are very important in the second verse. Vada nishchitya. Vada nishchitya. In the third line, he said, Tad ekam vada nishchitya. Ekam. Ekam means only one. He says, Krishna, you are being equivocal. You're saying two things at the same time. Please just say ekam. Ekam vada. Vada means say. Please tell. Just one thing. Please tell me. Don't tell me two things to do at the same time, both of which are the opposite of each other. So, ekam vada nishchitya. Nishchitya meaning with certainty. Because Arjuna has already surrendered to Krishna. And he wants to do what Krishna wants him to do. Except Arjuna is not understanding what Krishna wants him to do. And he's saying, you're telling me to act in Buddhi Yoga, which seems to me that I should not be fighting. And then you're telling me to fight. So the two are opposing each other. That is why he's saying it is equivocal. And then please tell me, therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So these are the doubts that Arjun has. These are doubts which all of us can have in our life as we move along. Today, we're just going to set the stage for chapter 3. Chapter 3, so now the connection basically, or the flow basically, from chapter 2 to chapter 3 is, in chapter 2, Krishna has explained karma, he's explained karma action, he's explained fruitive action, karma kand. Then he's saying higher than karma kand is Gyan Yoga, and then higher than that, he says is Buddhi Yoga. And by performing devotional service, one achieves a steady mind or state of samadhi. So, chapter 2, Krishna explains all these concepts. And then in verse 72 of chapter 2, the very last verse, Krishna says, I'll just read the translations, that is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So he gave Arjun the final destination also, the final goal of life also, which is to enter into the kingdom of God. But before this, he had asked Arjun to fight. And so we start chapter 3 with Arjun questioning what Krishna said towards the end of chapter 2, that Krishna, you're asking me to be a devotee, to perform devotional service, yet you're telling me to fight. I'm confused. Please clarify. So what we need to now consider, at least in today's session, without getting into the details of Karma Yoga, is first just an overview of what's coming. So Arjun wants to perform devotional service, but he does not know what is devotional service under the present circumstances. He thinks it is retiring from this battlefield. And Krishna is saying, no, fighting in the battlefield is devotional service. Karma Yoga is the process of performing karma or activity in yoga, meaning linking with the Supreme. You perform your activities with a desire to connect with Krishna, with a desire to serve Krishna, with a desire to please Krishna. Idea of yoga or connecting with Krishna is that you want to interact with Krishna, you want to please him. The whole thing is you want to do what Krishna wants you to do so that he is pleased. And this is very important. The concept of Karma Yoga is very important, meaning how to act for Krishna's pleasure. And that's why, as you see in Bhagavad Gita, 2 chapters, chapter 3 and chapter 5, both of them are dedicated to Karma Yoga. There is no other concept that has 2 chapters dedicated to it except the concept of Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga, or acting in devotional service, is a very important concept. That's why Krishna has dedicated 2 chapters to it. Why is it so important? It's important because each one of us is acting. Every human being, every living entity is acting. The animals, of course, they are acting simply under the influence of the modes of nature. There is no sinful reaction on an animal because they don't have the capacity to decide between one action and the other. Human beings, on the other hand, have the capacity to choose which action to perform, which thought to think. And so that choice has to be driven by your values. The choice has to be driven by your understanding. Our value system is, what is our value system? Our value system is we want to act to please Krishna. Value system of a devotee is we want to act to please Krishna. Why is that a value system? Because that is the highest instruction coming from Krishna. Other people might say, you see, when you ask people in a common man, what is your value system? They'll say, oh, honesty and integrity and, staying truthful to one's promises, things like that. Those are all good things. Those are all good things, but they are not all encompassing. They are a small list of everything that that person could be doing. If a person says, well, I mean, what is your value system? And the person replies, honesty and integrity and uh, uh, maybe, I don't know, one more thing they might say. You might come up to them and say, well, what about compassion? So the person, yeah, compassion is very good. It's a good thing. I don't say that that's a bad thing. But if you're asked to pick 3 or 4 or 5 things that drive your actions, the 4 or 5 values that drive your actions, you can only list 4 or 5. But as a devotee, we list only one, and that is our actions are guided by our principle of pleasing Krishna. And that one value system is enough. Why is it enough? Because it encompasses any and every value, good value, that you can think of. If you were to come up with a list of, let's say, 5 or 10 most important values to you, you say, truthful, not lying, not harming others, not this, not that, whatever. Our one value list covers everything that you can think of. And why is that? It's not as if we are proud, or it's not as if we think we know more than anybody else. No, we are simply following what Krishna is saying. Krishna is God, and God is the one who knows everything. And God is saying, you act in a way that is pleasing to me. So if Krishna is saying that, who are we as human beings to argue with him? We are here to do exactly what Krishna wants us to do. So that is the guiding principle, that is the value system. So all our actions are guided by the desire to please Krishna. Now, this is the value system that Krishna is telling Arjun to adopt by asking him to perform Buddhi Yoga, or acting in devotional service. So 2 chapters are dedicated to Karma Yoga, chapter 3 and chapter 5. This is a key concept. Like they say, what is the art of acting? This Karma Yoga teaches us the art of acting, the art of living, the art of basically doing any activity that we may think of. This is an all-encompassing concept. So one of the practical connections, or one of the connections to practical life of understanding Karma Yoga is, first of all, it will give us a sense of purpose in life. Sense of purpose in life, that's very important. Why am I doing things? Why am I living? Why am I acting? Why do I go to work? Why do I look after my family? What am I going to achieve by doing anything? So purpose in life. When you have a purpose in life, then you will feel motivated and inspired to perform those activities. So understanding Karma Yoga gives us a purpose in life. It gives us motivation. If we have motivation, we will have enthusiasm. We will have drive. We will have energy. We will have a desire to act. Think about it this way. In the working world, how many times have you come across job descriptions where they say we want an individual who's motivated, who's a self-starter, who is energetic, who has leadership skills, who has good communication skills, all these kinds of qualities they list. They want a person who's like that, right? And the answer to where you can find such a person is very simple. Bhagavad Gita is teaching us to become a devotee. And by being a devotee, you can automatically have all of these qualities. This is a practical application. If you understand Karma Yoga, and we understand Karma Yoga, how to act for the pleasure of the Lord, then we will have a sense of purpose, which is, why am I acting? I'm acting to please Krishna. It will give us motivation. We feel motivated. Well, I'm acting, I feel inspired to do this. Why? Because I'm acting in a way that will be pleasing to Krishna. If you act to please Krishna, Krishna reciprocates with you in your life. You feel his presence. Just some time back, Vatsala Mataji was giving an example of her own life. Nikunjalila Mataji just said something about wanting to incorporate all of this in her practical life. This is the sense of purpose. From understanding devotional service, we get a sense of purpose, we get motivation, we get enthusiasm, and we feel inspired to act. And best of all, we end up doing the right thing at the right time. In fact, we end up doing the right thing at all times. So these are some practical benefits that come from understanding the art of Karma Yoga. So we'll get into it in more detail in subsequent lessons or subsequent discussions. But it's 9 o'clock, so I'll stop here. If anybody has questions and comments, we can go through those now. So today was just a quick overview. Yes.
It's a very chapter, Prabhu, because Karma Yoga, most of us, we are actually Karma Yogis. You know, we
Yes.
are not. So work. We're all in the mode of. I mean, I could talk about myself. Sorry, okay, I cannot talk about others, but I'm always in the mode of passion. Actually, not even goodness. You know, work, earn, maintain the family. So this chapter, I would say it's very relevant to me. So yeah, more to come, as you said. I'm very eagerly waiting to hear more about Karma Yoga.
Absolutely, Prabhu. And that is actually the situation with most of us in day-to-day Grihastha life. And this is a very relevant chapter. Actually, 3, 5, they're all very relevant chapters for all of us.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. I think Karma Yoga will be very relevant for us too, because we are always involved in activities. But only thing we have to remember, whatever activities I do, I dedicate it to Krishna. Everything goes back to Krishna. If we remember the fruits of the action goes back to Krishna, then we don't have to worry about our karma phala, right?
Right.
So he will take care of it. So only thing is we have to think whatever activities, I don't have any control over it. Let's give it to Krishna. He will take care of it. Whatever either good or bad comes out of my doing things for the family or any outsiders or anything, it's up to Krishna to decide what is going to happen. So I think I'm learning it too. Something we try to do a lot of things for, and I'm trying to stay away. You do the work, don't get uptight about it, and give the things to Krishna. Whatever is the outcome, we just accept it. So I think I'm learning that too.
Definitely the satisfaction. We think that satisfaction from performing any activity will come if we achieve the desired result. Now, that is a very dangerous philosophy and a very dangerous motivation, because what if you don't achieve the result? that you were desiring, then it will lead to disappointment and it will lead to lack of motivation. But Krishna teaches us the art of acting in such a way that we are always motivated and always satisfied. How is that? If one is acting only for the pleasure of Krishna, not having this fixed desire that, okay, if I get this, then I'll be happy. If instead of that, of course, when you perform any activity, you're doing it to achieve a certain result, but you don't have any guarantee that you will achieve the result or not. So a wise person, a Krishna conscious person says, I'm going to act because this is the circumstance that Krishna has given me. And he wants me to act in such a way that it's pleasing to him. So I'm going to act in a way that is in accordance with the directions of scripture. I'm going to do it because this is what Krishna wants me to do. Let the result be whatever it is. And when we act with that mentality, there is satisfaction at the beginning, there is satisfaction during the process, and there is satisfaction at the end of the process, regardless of what the outcome was.
Yeah. In older days, years ago, I used to, you work hard for promotion. You are going to get into some school. Then we think, we are going to get the proper advancement or promotion. But sometimes you don't get it. Maybe that is the way it should be, And now I can see it. But in those days, you were getting uptight. Oh my God, I worked so hard. I didn't get the promotion. I didn't get the good grades. I was looking for A+ or something. I got B. So those things, sometimes we do perform things sometimes with the selfish reasons. But as the years go by, you mature. I think you get the little grip of life. What is important, what we should do, why we shouldn't be so perturbed about things not going your way. The fruits of the action goes to Krishna. So that is more enlightening. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Madhaji. Other thoughts?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Then pranam.
Krishna Madhaji. No, pranam, Madhaji.
And another thing is, like, first of all, some people do question, why do you even need to read Bhagavad Gita? And like when you made this point, like, why are we doing this? What is it that we are working for? Whom are we satisfying, or what are we trying to achieve? If that question also doesn't come for a person, then they don't know what direction they're going. And in order for someone to get that question, only when they hear, I won't say only, but at least one of the ways, like when we hear Bhagavad Gita, then that gives a starting point question to any person. Oh yeah, why are we working? Otherwise, if we ask, just even for ourselves, few years ago, what's our duty of the life? Oh, you have to work, you have to do your duty for your kids, and then enjoy. And let's say, or I have a goal, I need to have these many houses, this much property, I have to work because that's what is making me happy. And then after that, that's it. Then my life is, that's what I'm here to earn this or to make this my goal. So people will be going in the direction. So at least even by listening once, that even that thought to question yourself will start coming. So that part I like when we talk about the karma yoga, and then the introduction, how it started in by answering Arjuna's questions in relevant to the fight, how Krishna answered the question for all of us, the entire mankind. So that's just my comment. Every time when I think of karma yoga, that is how I feel, and what you just told us, the basic thing, Prabhuji. I just wanted to share. Not
very
a question,
nice,
but
yeah. No, that's a very nice,
Prabhuji.
very nice thought. Thank you for sharing, Madhaji. Because really, what is karma yoga, and the answers that we'll get, the direction that we'll get from it, is actually the art of acting. And you can also expand that to say this is actually the art of living. How do you live your life? This is the real art of living. Now, I know there is another organization called Art of Living, which is very nice and everything, This is the real art of living is in Bhagavad Gita, not simply just doing some meditation and whatever to feel a little calm. Art of living is given to us by the Bhagavad Gita for how to be, how to situate our mind 24 hours a day. So it's a very wholesome concept.
And I myself, in my life, Prabhuji, at least for a few years, I used to think the life is Monday to Friday work, and then Friday evening satsang, Saturday make up all the works, whatever, cooking, preparing for the next week, and then Sunday go to temple, and then our week is done. That's all. So that means Monday to Friday, no Krishna. I myself was one of the examples. I used to feel, oh, this is all I can do, and this is enough. I think otherwise, how can we do? How can we do? But as by hearing, the lectures and this, then it's like, oh no, what are we doing? So I think that thought is only Krishna's mercy will get that thought, I think. Maybe late, but still.
Well, I mean, what you just said reminded me of a very good analogy that Prabhupada actually gives many times. So, like you said, an average person's life is Monday to Friday. Friday, you're working, right? I mean, we are paid for 40 hours a week, but most of us don't work only 40 hours a week. We work much more than that. Everybody's super busy. And then you're busy at work, and you come home, you have busy things. There is stuff at home to keep you busy. Even on the weekends, you're catching up on chores. You've got kids, you got stuff to do with the kids, take care of the yard, so many other things, so many things to do. Everybody's busy. And then all of a sudden, somebody introduces you to the concept of Krishna consciousness, and you start thinking, I've got such a busy life. How am I possibly going to do anything more? For example, how am I going to start chanting? Where am I going to find the time to start chanting? I have no time to even take a break. Where am I going to find additional time to do all of these things? And that's a very valid question people have. But the beauty of Krishna consciousness is that it doesn't require you to stop doing anything that you're already doing. It just requires you to change the mentality with which you do things. That's all it is. And the analogy that Prabhupada uses is that you've got a glass of water, and let's say the glass is full. Now you're saying, so the glass is full, meaning the glass represents your life and the water represents your activities. Glass is full. You can only handle so many activities. The glass can hold only so much water. It's full to capacity. Now, if you want to introduce something more into the glass, something will have to spill out. But Prabhupada says that this Krishna consciousness is not something that will cause the glass to spill. It is more like adding sugar into the water. The sugar will just dissolve in the water, and all of a sudden the water will become sweet. The contents of the glass will now become sweet. So that is what Krishna consciousness does in our life. It gives us a sense of purpose. It brings sweetness into our life. You don't have to stop doing anything.
The satisfaction.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Prabhu.
The analogy is good, Prabhuji. Very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Narasimha Prabhu has a question.
Yes, Narasimha Prabhu.
Hare
I'm
Krishna.
leaving, Prabhu. Thank you. I'm leaving. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Prabhuji,
Narasimha Prabhu.
I was just reading the translation of one of the verses where Krishna says that some are inclined to understand this knowledge by empirical speculative process and others by devotional service. I was just thinking that even in other yugas, even though people were, they had much more spiritual abilities, but still they had to follow a process that will take like 10, 20,000 years, something like that. So the Lord very well knows about how Kali Yuga will be. So even if we are able to remember the Lord for one life by the mercy of our acharyas and Krishna, then certainly even we can make the best of the bad bargain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's a very wonderful thought and concept that Mahaprabhu has made it so easy for us that in this Kali Yuga, this is all you got to do is chant Hare Krishna. It is a transcendental vibration. Krishna is incarnated himself, has incarnated himself in the form of sound. So when you are chanting that vibration or that Mahamantra, Krishna is with you, you're associating with him. And that's how it's possible that even in one lifetime, by following this process, you can achieve the success of human life, which is to come back home, back to Godhead. That is, see, that's, I mean, it's such a wonderful benediction that we have all been given, that people, when they are not aware, they find it very difficult to believe. Find it very difficult to believe. They think it's impossible. But once one starts following the process, you actually, by the mercy of the Lord, by the mercy of the acharyas, you definitely see the benefits which inspire and motivate us further. It's a very wonderful concept. Thank you for bringing that up, Nrsimha Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? Any other thoughts, comments?
And otherwise, Prabhuji, we will end up in doing over endeavor, like in nectar of instruction, atyahara. There's no end for atyahara.
There's no end.
So that's very meaningless atyahara.
Yeah. There's no end. You're absolutely right. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
I think seems like we are good, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji.
So very nice, and it's just the beginning, as you said. It will be very interesting as we go forward. So before I let everyone go, a small announcement about Ekadashi. So tomorrow is actually Ekadashi, and Saturday is Ekadashi, but it's not suitable to fast on Saturday. So that's what the recommendation is. So that is why we fast from beans and grains on Sunday for Apara Ekadashi. That is on Dwadashi actually. So we fast on Dwadashi. So just to note that on Sunday we are fasting, and we will break fast on Monday. So that the breaking time I have already sent in the flyer in our WhatsApp group. It's there. Okay, and Sunday we have, as usual, the program from by His Grace Ajita Prabhu from 8 p.m. onwards about Chaitanya Bhagavad. So please join. So it's a different Zoom credentials I'll send out. Okay, yeah, that's all, Prabhu. That's all I have. Thank you very much. Wonderful discourse.
Okay, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, thank you so much. Look forward to glorifying the Lord some more next week. All goes to Shiva Prabhupada. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Panchakapatrabhishtapastubhe pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Jai.